Hi, welcome back to Tao of Twang. I'm Dave. So this is part 2 of our 3-part series of a basic key study for G major. Part 1 is already in a playlist on the channel called Basic Key Study for G major. When all 3 are done, they will be in that playlist together, and they'll be the only ones in there. So you'll have a kind of a go-to, nicely organized little series there. So in part 1, we discussed what a key is. Okay. I'm just going to kind of hit the bullet points here with this real quickly and then get warmed up. And today we're going to go into like building chords off of our foundation of the major scale. Now, the major scale, we backed that up a little bit and said, well, what is a major scale? Like, how would you define that? What makes it different than other kinds of scales? Well, all scales, as we mentioned in part 1, are formulas of whole steps and half steps. Okay. And so we've got a diagram and everything in there of what that sequence is for a major scale by definition. When we start that on G and do all the work on that, we end up with these notes. Okay. Then we had, I made a rule in part 1 that we were going to keep our hand when we're first learning the scale down here in this position, where we assign our fingers strictly to one fret. So see how that's on 2, 3, 4, 5, the fret numbers. And I start on my third finger. Okay, I'm going back over that because that's important. Now today we're actually going to break that rule here pretty quick, but I hope that you've been practicing it like that. Okay, and you're going to see why here real quick. It's going to set you up for this next thing. Then we just had a couple of exercises in that first installment where we did some patterns like right. All right. And we had some tab for that and stuff too, if you need to go back and look at that. All of this is to get that muscle memory going, get your ear dialed into that major sound of that G major. And, looking forward, it's setting you up to make these triad shapes and arpeggios and the things that you're really going to be using when you're improvising. So sometimes you're using just the sequence itself in different segments of it, right? Sometimes you're skipping over parts of it. That's what we're going to talk about today more. So here's another little pattern just to get warmed up with. Let's say we went the first 4 degrees. But then instead of walking back down or starting back on the G, we start on the next degree up, the A, the next. Right, like that. You could do that, the full scale if you wanted to. Right? Do anything you want like that. Come up with your own stuff. But having that being able to play those shorter segments like that in patterns will really help you with your arpeggios. Now, there's a little warm up. I got to get my tablet going here real quick. Okay. Now, yesterday we had this chart as our basic kind of diagram of this key of G major. We really only concerned ourselves with that red line, though, the scale, right? Everything I just talked about, all those patterns and stuff for practicing, they're just the scale notes in order, right? Now, underneath the red line there, see, that's our major scale. see there's chord names down there, or types of chords, I guess. Um, and the disregarding the turquoise part, the bright blue part there for a second, the white Roman numerals are major or minor, okay? And an uppercase signifies a major triad, and a lowercase signifies a minor one, all right? There's a little bit of a difference in this seventh column down here where it says F sharp. See that? It's got a different, it's got a flat fifth in it. We're not going there just yet. But here's what's important about this. The chords that are in a key are not arbitrary. They're not just somebody decided this is what they're derived from this process. Look at the red line there going across. That's each note, each degree of the scale. But look at the columns going up. So start with the first one there, G, the tonic, the one of the G major scale, the first degree. Now going up that column, it doesn't go G, A, B, C, right? It skips every other one. 2, 3. And if you look over on the left-hand side above the word root, that's the third. Literally the third degree of the scale. The next thing in that column going up is the fifth by the same process. Skip over the fourth note. Now if we just play those up and back, we get, okay, that's a G major triad. Not just because somebody says so, because you just did the work. You took, now here's what's interesting. Once you go up to where it says third, and the third of that first column is B. But if you take off to the right, going horizontally, right, like you're reading across, it's back to putting them in alphabetical order or sequential order. B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, that don't try to crack the code on the whole matrix all at once, but just take notice of how many patterns there are in there like that, and just the simple, elegant geometry of it. Now, how systemized it is. Go to the next column where the red letter is A. So that's the second degree of the major scale, G, A, but now go up, A, C, E. Now, you're still using the same river of notes, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Everything we're doing is made of those notes, whether it's chords, arpeggios, or single notes, sequences. So, when you count up the degrees of the scale, it's those notes, right? It's still the G major scale, but starting on the second degree. Root third, 5, third, root, root third, 5, root, two. See where we're going? You knew I was going there too, didn't you? It's just going to be like those other exercises that we did with the scale. You're going to go up a degree on the red line, the major scale each time, but play the column. Now, right now, we're just doing the root, third, and fifth, okay? Next time, we'll go up to the seventh, and we'll talk briefly about some of those higher extensions up there, right? Now, I want to give you some exercises here, right? Some stuff where you can really practice this. All right. Remember how I said we were going to break the rule on the finger assignment? We can, but the first exercise here, you really want to stick with that. Okay. After a while, do your own thing. I really, I don't make a lot of rules like that, but you're going to see why that uh, we did that in part one. If you really did that, here's where you're going to get your payoff. So in this exercise, we're playing triads and we're going up the major scale 1 degree at a time and playing the root, third, and fifth. So imagine it on that chart as we're going across, but we're going up the G column, up the A column, up the B, right? Like this. Okay? Stick to that fingering at first. After a while, do your own thing. But you'll see that if you've gotten used to the muscle memory of right there, this is going to fall into place for you a lot quicker. If you get lost or you don't, you got to do some work on this. Don't just say like, oh, I've just got to look at the tab on every note. That's fine at first, but you don't need to do that, right? And you can figure this out by back engineering it yourself. Okay, so I need to go every other note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can do the same thing, but starting on the next degree, A. But remember, the notes that you're playing are still from the G major scale sequence. They're always those notes in this key study. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll get it. And then once you get it, your ear and your hand and your mind's eye will all be in cooperation, and it's a good feeling. Let me get my chart back up here. You don't have to be looking at it all the time. I just like to keep it there because I'm referring to it. So the last exercise here is really the same thing, just doing a different walking pattern, like. Okay, so 1, 3, 5, 3. Right? This one's nice because you don't get double fretted. What do I mean by double fretted? Well, on that first one, see how I ended up with my pinky right there? Well, my next note for the A is that same fret right below. It's kind of awkward, right? Right. So I'm used to that, and you should practice it like that too. But this kind of solves that and makes it funner. There, I slipped out of our finger prison there at the very end, right? So have fun with this. This is starting to get now where you've got a bunch of stuff you got to practice. Warm up with the major scale. Do those other patterns. That one's tabbed out in that part one. And then do some other ones, at least one where you make up your own, sequences, portions of the scale. I like to do 4. Right? And, just do your thing, but have a routine. Each day when you come back to it, warm up on it. And don't just say, "Oh, I got that now. I'm just going to go off and do something else." I might irritate you from time to time with stuff like this. In the end, you may or may not thank me for it. I don't know. But I believe what I'm telling you. You need to do it. And then take a look at that. This is where it gets fun. In part 3, it's really going to get fun. So then just sit with that chart sometimes and just look at that thing and just look how it's put together. Things are going to start making a whole lot more sense up here and here. Do the work. Let me know how it goes. I'll talk to you soon.